I was 20 the night my whole life got shoved into a trash bag. My dad, Mark Harlow, didn't even bother to look at me. He just pointed at the front door like I was some delivery that got sent to the wrong address. Keys, he said flatly. I swallowed. Dad, can we just talk?
I.
Before we begin, drop a comment and tell us where are you from and from which city you're watching our videos? And after watching the whole video, don't forget to tell us what would you do in this situation? Be honest, tell me in the comments below. We read every comment. Let's begin. His hand cut through the air. We're done talking, Lily. This house is for people going somewhere. We invest in winners, not anchors. Winners. That was his favorite word. He used it for my younger sister, Paige, the straight-A golden child with the flawless hair and perfect Instagram.
Me?
I was the community college dropout who worked double shifts at Ray's Diner to keep gas in a 15-year-old Honda. Mom hovered behind him, arms folded, mascara smudged like she'd cried earlier but was over it now. You had chances, honey, she murmured. Your sister never wastes hers. You're really throwing me out? I whispered. Over grades? I'm trying, Trying doesn't pay off a mortgage, Dad snapped. You're 20 years old, and you still don't know what you want.
Paige has a plan.
You just have excuses. You want something? Go earn it without dragging us down. He held out his palm again. I stared at the house keys in my hand, the ones I'd twisted between my fingers through every bad day of high school, every late-night panic spiral. Home. Or so I thought. I dropped them into his palm. The sound was tiny, but it felt like a door slamming shut inside my chest. Paige watched from the staircase, wrapped in one of those expensive hoodies Dad rewarded her with every time she aced an exam. Her expression was blank, but her eyes were bright with something that wasn't quite pity. You'll be fine, she said softly. You're tough, Lily. I almost laughed. Tough. I felt like a paper cup in a hurricane. Dad opened the door. Cold night air pushed into the hallway, smelling like rain and exhaust. You've got your car, he said. You've got your job. Go prove you're not a waste of money. He didn't hug me. Mom didn't step forward. No one said, we love you. I stepped outside with my single overstuffed suitcase and thrift store backpack, and the door clicked shut behind me. For a second, I just stood there on the dark porch, listening. Silence. No footsteps following. No second thoughts. Just the faint sound of the TV turning back up inside, like they were already moving on. Something inside me broke then clean, sharp like glass. Okay, I thought. Fine. If they only invested in winners, then I'd become something they could never buy shares in. Something they couldn't take credit for. I would build a life with my own two hands, even if it meant those hands never stopped aching. The first year was a blur of survival. I crashed on a friend's lumpy couch in a sketchy part of town until her landlord complained. Then I bounced between rented rooms, month-to-month leases, and one terrifying week sleeping in my car behind the diner with my hoodie wadded up as a pillow. By day, I poured coffee and balanced plates at Ray's, forcing a smile for customers who snapped their fingers when they wanted more syrup. By night, I scrubbed offices for a cleaning company, pushing a vacuum through quiet corporate hallways that smelled like carpet shampoo and ambition. Somewhere between those jobs, I dragged myself to the public library because tuition was gone but Wi-Fi was still free. I watched business lectures on mute, read everything I could about marketing, management, and startups. While my coworkers took smoke breaks, I scribbled notes on napkins about brands, customer experience, and leadership. You're going to burn out, my friend Mia warned one night as we closed the diner. She was sliding silverware into the dishwasher, her curly hair twisted up in a messy bun. I don't have time to burn out, I said, stacking plates. Burning out is a luxury. She side-eyed me. You working after this? Office cleaning till 2, I said. Then inventory shift at the grocery store in the morning. The manager said if I cover weekends, he'll bump me up to full-time soon. So, 3 jobs. She whistled. What's the endgame, Harlow? You planning to become the queen of fluorescent lighting? CEO? I answered without thinking. Mia blinked. Of what? I don't know yet, I admitted, feeling ridiculous and stubborn all at once. But I'm not dying behind a counter. I'm learning. Every customer who complains, every boss who ignores me, every office I mop, someone's paying me to understand how people and companies really work. She studied me for a long beat, then smirked. Okay, boss. Just don't forget to sleep sometimes. Sleep became a rumor I heard other people enjoyed. My knuckles cracked from the constant hot water and cleaning chemicals. My feet blistered through cheap sneakers. I kept a spare shirt in my car because I didn't always have time to go home between shifts. But every time my body screamed to stop, my mind replayed Dad's words like a hostile soundtrack. We invest in winners. He wanted a winner?
Fine.
I'd become the kind of winner who didn't need his approval, his money, or his last name. One night, after wiping down the break room in a tech startup suite, I paused in front of a glass-walled conference room. The whiteboard inside was covered in ideas, launch dates, revenue targets, user growth charts. The CEO's name was printed in sleek letters on the door. For a second, I imagined my own name there instead. Lily Harlow, CEO for real. I laughed under my breath. Then I pulled out my phone and opened another online course. If no one in my family believed in me, I just have to believe in myself loud enough to drown them out. The girl they called a failure was done playing small. 2 years later, that same girl scrubbing floors was signing contracts in glass towers. It hadn't happened overnight. I built it from scraps, one late-night idea, one client at a time. It started small, a virtual assistant business called Harlow Works. I helped startups handle scheduling, invoices, and social media while still working my cleaning shifts. By year 2, I had 10 clients and enough cash to rent a shared office. By year 4, I was hiring people, other kids who'd been told they'd never make it. And by year 5, Harlow Works wasn't just surviving. It was thriving. Now, I owned 3 companies under one name, Harlow Enterprises. The same girl who'd been kicked out of her house for being a failure now signed paychecks for 200 employees. My phone buzzed as I sat in my office one Friday morning. My assistant, Marco, peeked in, smiling. We've got a big one today, boss. New partnership meeting with Bright Edge Media. They're sending over a candidate for the executive assistant role, too. I nodded. Send them in when they arrive. As Marco left, I looked around my office. The city skyline glowed behind me through the floor-to-ceiling windows. Every inch of this place felt earned. The espresso machine I bought after my first million, the polished wood desk that still bore tiny scratches from when I built it myself, the small photo frame of Mia and me celebrating the first business milestone with dollar store champagne. It wasn't about the money anymore. It was about proof. I wanted to prove that you could start with nothing and still stand tall. Minutes later, the door opened. Marco stepped in with a folder. The applicant's here, ma'am. Send her in. The door swung wider, and I froze for a split second. It was Paige. My sister. The one Dad called his perfect investment. She looked exactly like she used to, flawless hair, designer heels, and that same air of confidence that used to make every teacher love her instantly. But now, there was a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. Good morning, she said, smiling politely, not recognizing me at first. I'm here for the Bright Edge partnership interview. I leaned back in my chair, letting her words hang in the air for a second before speaking. Of course. Please have a seat. She sat down across from me, still flipping through her notes. You're the CEO? She asked finally, glancing at the nameplate on my desk. Yes, I said softly. Lily Harlow. Her pen slipped from her fingers. The color drained from her face. Wait, Lily. I smiled faintly. That's right. The same Lily Dad said would never make it. The one you told to be tough. Paige swallowed hard. I didn't, Lily, I didn't mean. I raised a hand gently. It's fine. Really? You were just repeating what everyone believed back then. She looked down, her voice trembling. I had no idea you were this. Most people didn't, I said. I was too busy working to prove them wrong. The silence stretched. Then I leaned forward slightly, tapping the folder in front of me. So, you're applying for the executive position under our new partner brand, right? She nodded quickly.
Yes.
I really want this opportunity. I smiled, warm but deliberate. Then let's begin. Her eyes widened as the words hit her. The same words Dad used when he tested her on finance reports at the dinner table. But this time, I was the one in charge. For years, they taught me I had to beg for approval. Now I was the one signing it. And this, right here, wasn't revenge. It was poetic justice. Paige's fingers trembled as she tried to steady the papers on her lap. The confidence she'd carried in, the same one that used to make me feel small, was gone. I could see the calculation in her eyes now. She wasn't just realizing who I was. She was realizing what I'd become. So, I said, keeping my tone calm but firm, tell me, Paige, why do you think you're a good fit for this company? Her throat bobbed as she tried to smile. I have experience in project coordination, and I'm a fast learner. I recently left our father's firm, and I'm looking for a fresh start. Our father's firm. The same one where I wasn't even allowed to make coffee during family events because I might spill on the investors. How's Dad these days? I asked casually, flipping through her resume. She hesitated. He's not the same. Business slowed down. The new partners pulled out after some bad investments. I looked up, my lips curving slightly. So, no one's investing in him now? Her face flushed. Lily, please. I waved it off, softening my tone. Relax. This isn't personal. It's just business. The truth was, I'd been preparing for this day for years without realizing it. Every night I fell asleep exhausted. Every morning I showed up when no one believed I could. It all led to this one quiet, perfect moment. I took a deep breath and stood, walking toward the window. You know, Paige, Dad once said I wasn't worth investing in. Said I'd never succeed without him. I remember, she whispered. I turned, meeting her eyes. Well, he was right about one thing. I didn't succeed with him. I succeeded because he left me no other choice. Tears glimmered in her eyes now, real ones. Lily, I didn't know. I swear I didn't know what it was like for you out there. I know you didn't, I said quietly. You didn't have to. There was a knock at the door. Marco peeked in. Ma'am, the Bright Edge executives just arrived for the partnership meeting. I nodded. Bring them in. Miss Harlow will stay. Paige froze. Stay? Yes, I said, sitting back down. I'd like you to observe how we run things here. Two executives walked in, all smiles and handshakes. Ms. Harlow, we're honored to finally meet. We've reviewed your proposal, and we're ready to move forward. Excellent, I said, shaking their hands. Please have a seat. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Paige watching, her sister, the so-called family failure, leading a meeting with people their father used to beg for contracts from. The executives began discussing projections, and I navigated every question smoothly, every number, every strategy, every decision born from years of surviving, learning, and refusing to quit. When they left, Paige just sat there staring. You are incredible, she said softly. You've built something I can't even imagine. Not incredible, I replied, just determined. She looked down at her hands. Lily, I'm sorry. For everything. For standing by when Dad kicked you out. For thinking you weren't enough. For a moment, I just watched her. The apology wasn't for show, it was real. Finally, I smiled. You were young, Paige. You believed what everyone around us believed. So, what now? She asked quietly. I leaned back in my chair. Now, I decide if we'll be working together. Her eyes widened. You'd really hire me? Maybe, I said. If you're ready to start at the bottom and work your way up like I did. She nodded, eyes bright with humility. I'll take it. And just like that, the tables had turned. The failure became the CEO, and the favorite became the applicant. It wasn't revenge. It was justice wrapped in grace. A week later, Paige started her first day at Harlow Enterprises. No corner office, no perks, no family name to carry her. Just a simple desk in the operations department, answering emails and handling reports. Most CEOs would have bragged, but I didn't tell anyone who she was. I wanted her to earn her place, not hide behind a last name that once opened every door. And, to her credit, she worked
Hard.
She arrived early, stayed late, and never once used the word sister when we crossed paths in the hallways. Every time I passed by, I saw that fire in her eyes. The same one I once had when I was fighting to survive. It was strange, watching the person who once represented everything I hated about my past begin to understand the struggle I'd lived through. Then, one evening, I was leaving the office when I found her still there, sorting paperwork with her hair tied up and coffee stains on her blouse. She looked up, startled. "Hey," I said, smiling. "It's late." "I just want to finish this batch," she said. "I don't want to disappoint you." Her words hit harder than I expected. I walked in, leaning against her desk. "Paige, you're doing great. You don't have to prove anything to me anymore." She hesitated.
No, I do.
"You proved yourself to everyone. I'm just trying to be someone you're proud of." For a long moment, we just looked at each other. Two sisters who'd started life on opposite sides of the same table. "Come on," I said finally, grabbing her coat. "Let's go get dinner." My treat. We ended up at a quiet restaurant downtown, the kind with soft jazz playing and warm lights instead of spotlights. Over pasta and iced tea, the walls finally broke down between us. "I didn't realize how badly Dad hurt you," Paige said quietly. "When he said those things, I thought he was just being strict. But now I get it. He broke something inside you." I took a sip of water, smiling faintly. "He didn't break me. He built me, just not in the way he expected." Paige laughed through tears. "He'd lose his mind if he saw you now." "Probably," I said. "But I don't need him to see it. I just needed to become it." Later that week, I got a message. It was from Mom. Just 3 words, "Can we talk?" I hadn't heard her voice in years. But something in me softened. When she showed up at my office, she looked smaller somehow, like life had drained the confidence she once wore like perfume. "Lily," she said, voice trembling. "I've been watching the news. Your company's everywhere. Your dad, he doesn't know how to face you." "I'm not angry anymore," I told her. "I used to be, but not now." She nodded, tears in her eyes. "He thought he was motivating you. He just didn't realize he was losing you." For a moment, I thought about the girl I used to be, the one standing on that porch with a suitcase and no home to go back to. Then I smiled softly. Maybe losing me was the best thing that ever happened to me. That night, I looked out at the city skyline from my penthouse balcony, the wind tugging gently at my hair. Paige had joined me there, standing quietly beside me. She turned, eyes full of pride. "You really did it, Lily. You became everything they said you couldn't." I smiled at her. No anger, no bitterness, just peace. "No," I said softly. "We did it. We both did." Because sometimes revenge doesn't come with flames or fury. Sometimes it comes with forgiveness and a view from the top. And that night, for the first time, I truly felt like I'd won.